All right, now I want to show you another cool sidechain compression trick. Now, this one we're doing in Pro Tools. There's a little bit different way you need to go about it in Pro Tools than in Logic, and I'm going to show that to you. So first off, let's take a listen to the material we have here, and I'll show you what we're going to be sidechaining and turning up and turning down, all that cool stuff. So here's the very simple track. All right, so we're going to be, well, what I call this one is making room in the mix. So we're using sidechain compression here to make room in the mix. Now, this mix isn't super dense, but you can use this trick to kind of add a little bit of movement without having to go in and use automation to make that movement. So what we're going to do is this track right here plays through the whole song. This little funky lick guitar. So when the slide guitar comes in, that's this guy here. So when the slide guitar comes in, I want to turn down the funky lick. Okay. So we're going to use sidechain compression to do that. So we are going to use the slide guitar to trigger the compressor on the funky lick guitar. All right, so I've already put a compressor on the funky lick. So we've just got the regular Pro Tools compressor. I love this compressor for sidechaining. It does it. Number one, it's very important. And also it's got some filters up here too. We're not going to use those for this time around, but they're there and they're handy. Just like we used in the other video with the Logic filters. All right, so first off, we need to choose the sidechain input because remember, we have to tell this compressor to look at some other audio signal to do the compression or to detect the compression from. So we have this little key up here. So key input. Now in Logic, it's called sidechain input. Pro Tools, it's called a key input. They're the same exact things. I think in England, they use the word key instead of sidechain. So that's just the difference there, which is really no difference. All right, so interface and bus. We don't have the option we did in Logic. So there's one kind of extra step here in Pro Tools. So let's choose a bus. We're just going to choose an empty bus because we don't have anything sending to any buses yet. So I happen to know that bus 30 is free, so we'll choose bus 30. So as it stands right now, nothing is going to bus 30, but we're telling the compressor to look at bus 30 and use the signal from bus 30 when something starts going to it. So let's come down here to the slide guitar track, and on its insert, or its send, excuse me, on the send, we are going to send that to bus 30. All right, so here's the fader for that send. Let's turn the volume all the way up and let's make it pre-fader, just in case. All right, so to recap, we have the slide guitar getting sent out bus 30. So that's the split. It's going out the regular output and it's also going through bus 30. We've, on the compressor track, told the compressor, I'm sorry, on the funky lick track, we've told the compressor to look for signal on bus 30 and use that as the control signal. So let's do this. Let's take a listen now, see what's going on. So let's solo the funky lick and the slide guitar. Let me get a little bit better loop going on here. Let's do, this is a fine loop, I suppose. All right, let's hear it. Oh, of course my spacebar doesn't want to work. There we go. And you'll see nothing is happening yet because we haven't told the compressor to engage the sidechain. We've told it where to take the sidechain from, but not to engage it. So if you hit this little key button, right where it says sidechain, now the compressor's sidechain is active. So let's try this again. Oh, there it is. Now we want to change this up a little bit. So we still want the hard knee, and we still want the attack time to be probably right around 2 milliseconds, something like that's probably fine. 80 milliseconds, sure. That's, fairly quick, but it's not super fast. Let's set this ratio pretty low. So, well, let's set it high first. I'll show you what happens. So if you set the ratio pretty high, 10 to 1, and remember, we're going to change the threshold or pull the threshold down to get more compression. So if you set the ratio pretty high, this is a kind of a sustained note that kind of drowns out. The compressor is going to let go over time. So take a listen to how this sounds. A little less. Now, I don't like the way that that's letting go. So let's do this. Let's make the ratio a lot smaller, like 1.5 to 1, and we'll pull the threshold down quite a bit. Let's listen to how this sounds. And watch the compression gain reduction meter. So we're getting about 5 dB of compression, and I really like the way that it kind of waits a little bit longer before the compressor lets go. Now let's hear it with all the instruments. Let me back it up a little bit. Let's get this guy, and let's move it over here. Pay attention to this funky lick. Hear it come back up. That's very cool. That might be a little too much, but choose the amount of compression that works for your song and your instruments. But this is a great little trick. I use this all the time in mixes. Usually it's a more staccato instrument popping through, or a shorter instrument, or a shorter line, kind of like this slide guitar that you use as the controller signal. And it's usually turning down something that's going on for a much longer time. And in this case, that's that funky lick guitar. So there it is. That's sidechain compression for making room in the mix.